ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الصلاة والسلام على نبينا Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. So inshallah, let's now start with the next juz. We actually have to complete some of the previous juz from Surah Yunus. So inshallah, we will take these parts that we were not able to cover last session. So we reached Surah Yunus. Just a reminder, period of revelation is 12th Nabawi, and this is all happening as in the context of allegations being made against the Prophet ﷺ of fabricating this Quran, na'udhu billah, or that he is a sorcerer, etc. So all these allegations are being made here, and so we will find that Allah Ta'ala, He has mentioned in this and the previous surah a challenge, open challenge, that if you think this is from other than Allah, then bring something like it, 1 surah or 10 surahs, etc. So very quickly to recap the central theme of this surah, the establishment of a manifest proof against the rejectors. So we mentioned this, that this was to establish a manifest proof, in other words, itmam of the hujjah, completely make it very clear that these are the proofs, so that there is no excuse but to believe, or they have the choice of not believing, with proofs and discussion and clearly explaining tawheed and explaining clearly what is the opposite or the antonym, which is shirk. So proof against the rejectors, i.e. the mushrikeen of Makkah. This is the main audience of tawheed, risala and akhirah, in light of Quranic proofs, and a reply to the demands and objections, as we have mentioned already. So we have looked at the first 3 parts. In fact, we have looked at the first 5 parts. We will now start with the 6th part. The 6th part is ayat 71 to 93, debate with the mushrikeen of Quraysh and the rejectors of the akhirah, and defending the Quran. So this section actually looks at Nuh alayhi salam, his people, and Fir'aun, which is of course for Musa alayhi salam's people, and it reminds the Quraysh that if you continue with your attitude towards this revelation, as did Nuh and Musa alayhi salam's people, then you would end up in a similar situation. So let's take one ayah here, ayah 71, let's say first of all. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Watlu alayhim naba'a Nuh, and relate to them or read to them the news of Nuh. إذ قال لقومه يا قوم إن كان كبر عليكم مقامي والتذكير بآيات الله فعلى الله توكلت فأجمعوا أمركم وشركاءكم ثم لا يكن أمركم عليكم غمة ثم اقضوا إلي ولا تنذرون. So Nuh alayhi salam is saying to his people, O my people, if my residence, me staying with you, and my reminder of the signs of Allah has become such a big burden for you, then I have relied upon Allah. So you do whatever you want to plan against me, and call whoever else you want from your associates, your shuraka. Then let not your plan be obscure to you, meaning do what you want against me, then carry it out upon me and do not give me any time. Meaning that whatever you want to do, you cannot do it illa billah, except if Allah allows it to happen to me. Hence, all your shuraka, the associates you are making with Allah, they are batil. They don't even exist. And then in surah, this ayah number 75, ثُمَّ بَعَثْنَا مِن بَعْدِهِمْ مُوسَى. So Nuh alayhi salam's story mentioned briefly there, and the outcome was mentioned there as well. And then Musa alayhi salam is being mentioned. Now you know that Nuh alayhi salam, he is the first Rasul after Adam alayhi salam, because that is when the shirk started to appear, and that's why Allah Ta'ala, He sent the Rasul to call them back to Tawheed. And then after many generations, Musa alayhi salam is being mentioned. ثُمَّ بَعَثْنَا مِن بَعْدِهِمْ مُوسَى وَهَارُونَ إِلَى فِرْعَوْنَ وَمَلَئِهِ بِآيَاتِنَا فَاسْتَكْبَرُوا وَكَانُوا قَوْمًا مُجْرِمِينَ. Allah Ta'ala, He then sent Musa alayhi salam and his brother Harun to the chiefs, to the leadership. But what did they do? They did istikbar. They showed pride and arrogance. They rejected the truth and they looked down upon Musa and Harun alayhi salatu wasalam. وَكَانُوا قَوْمًا مُجْرِمِينَ, and they were criminal people. So this is being told to the Quraysh that if you insist on your attitude, then remember these people and what has happened to these people, as we have mentioned in the previous surah as well, then you will have the same outcome as these people. Because the objective here is وَيُحِقُّ اللَّهُ الْحَقَّ بِكَلِمَاتِهِ وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْمُجْرِمُونَ. Because at the end of the day, Allah will establish the truth by His words. Allah will establish the truth. You have a choice to be a part of that truth or to side with falsehood, even if the criminals dislike it. Regardless of what you like or dislike, Allah Ta'ala, His sunnah, His law will persist and it will prevail at the end of the day. And then we mentioned briefly yesterday that Musa alayhi salam's people, now we have to also think of the backdrop of the surah or the context. We said near the end of the Nabawi period, which means that the Muslimin, the believers, they are being subjected to lots and lots of trials and tribulations and hardships. So they need some sort of motivation, some sort of guidance, some sort of direction in trying to be steadfast in their deen. So just like this ummah, the previous ummah, Musa alayhi salam's ummah, Musa alayhi salam, he advises his ummah on how to become steadfast. This is ayah number 87. وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَى مُوسَى وَأَخِيهِ أَن تَبَوَّأَ لِقَوْمِكُمَا بِمِصْرَ بُيُوتًا وَاجْعَلُوا بُيُوتَكُمْ قِبْلَةً وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَبَشِّرِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. So we inspired to Musa and his brother, settle your people in Egypt in houses and make your houses facing the Qibla, meaning you will pray in your houses. Because the as-salah, it will allow you to remember Allah. أَقِمِ الصَّلَاةَ لِذِكْرِ. As Allah Ta'ala, He said to Musa alayhi salam, you know where He said this to Musa alayhi salam? Good, excellent, mashallah, ahsan, in Surah Taha. But where was the incident? The incident took place when Musa alayhi salam, he spoke to Allah, yes, on the mount. Allah Ta'ala says, أَقِمِ الصَّلَاةَ لِذِكْرِ. Establish the prayer to remember me, because if you remember me, I will remember you, I will make you steadfast. So this is the teaching given to the Prophet ﷺ and his companions as well, to make sure that you stay in touch with Allah. You do not break this link with Allah, so that you can be steadfast during these testing times. We go to the next section then. Let's move on to section number 7. It reads as follows. Quran is free from any doubt, and the people who reject, people cannot be forced to accept the Tawheed. So these two things we will look at, and this is really talking about an exception of Yunus alayhi salatu wasalam. Now Yunus alayhi salam, he was sent to a certain people, his qawm. And when he, at a certain point in his da'wah, he became totally frustrated from their reaction or inaction, he gave up. He said, this is it. I will not leave these people. However, he did not receive any express guidance from Allah to leave. Now, if you mirror this with what is happening in Makkah now, this is the 13th year, yeah? This is just before Hijrah. Allah Ta'ala is telling the believers, do not be like Yunus alayhi salam, who when he left his people, the adhab started to come, but because the people, they had an exception circumstance here. Their messenger left them. So the exception was, although the adhab came, but the messenger, because he left before the appointed time, the adhab was sent back, yeah, removed. Do you get the point? Because the messenger did not expressly wait for the command. So Allah Ta'ala is telling the believers and the Prophet ﷺ, do not be hasty, wait for the command, and when the command comes, that is when you will leave Makkah to go to Medina. So this is being told here. We look at ayah number 98 here. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم فلولا كانت قرية آمنت فنفعها إيمانها إلا قوم يونس. There has not been a single city that believed, so its faith benefited it except the people of Yunus alayhi salam, Jonah. لما آمنوا كشفنا عنهم عذاب الخزي في الحياة الدنيا ومتعناهم إلى حين. When they believed, when they saw the azab, we believed, we removed from them the punishment of disgrace in this worldly life, and then we gave them some time to enjoy for a time and for them to remain on that faith. So this was the exception to the rule. This is the message to the Prophet ﷺ and his followers. And then Allah Ta'ala is saying, وَلَوْ شَاءَ رَبُّكَ لَآمَنَ مَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ كُلُّهُمْ جَمِيعًا. If Allah will, everybody on the earth would have become Muslim, yes or no? Yes. Allah can say, kun fayakun, everybody becomes Abu Bakr. Yeah? Allah can do that. But no. Allah Ta'ala, He is testing the people. أَفَأَنْتَ تُكْرِهُ النَّاسَ حَتَّى يَكُونُوا مُؤْمِنِينَ. So Allah Ta'ala is saying to the Prophet ﷺ and the believers, are you going to force people to become Muslim? Yeah? تُكْرِهُ النَّاسَ. So then Muhammad ﷺ, would you compel the people in order that they become believers? No, you cannot compel them. You can only invite them. Your job is to invite them. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ. That's it. You have to invite to the best of your ability, capacity, and then you leave the hidayah in the hands of Allah. Okay then, let's move on then to ayah 103 here. And this is the sunnah of Allah as well, telling the believers that when the adhab does come eventually, Allah Ta'ala, He saves the messenger and his followers. So Allah Ta'ala is reiterating this here. ثُمَّ نُنَجِّي رُسُلَنَا وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. And then we will save our messengers and those who have believed. كَذَلِكَ حَقًّا عَلَيْنَا. This is an obligation upon us. Allah Ta'ala is saying, this is what we will do. This is what we always do. نُنْجِي الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, that we will save the believers. So this is glad tidings, good news to the Prophet ﷺ and his followers. That when the adhab does come, Allah would save you. And if it does come, Allah would save you from that adhab. Let's move on then to the final section of this surah. The final section, ayat 104 to 109. Instructions to believe and follow the Quran, and to show patience and steadfastness in the face of these adverse circumstances, believers. Yeah? This is a message to the believers. We take two ayat here, 108 and 109, and with that we will come to the end of this surah, inshallah. So surah ayah 108, Allah Ta'ala is ending this surah on inviting the people. قُلْ, say to them, Ya ayyuhan nas, O mankind, قَدْ جَاءَكُمُ الْحَقُّ مِنْ رَبِّكُمْ. The truth has come from your Lord, this Quran. فَمَنِ اهْتَدَى فَإِنَّمَا يَهْتَدِي لِنَفْسِهِ. Whoever seeks and gets the guidance only will benefit his own self. Only to your own benefit. وَمَنْ ضَلَّ فَإِنَّمَا يَضِلُّ عَلَيْهَا. And if you are misguided, you choose misguidance, that will be against you, nobody else. It will not harm Allah in the least. وَمَا أَنَا عَلَيْكُمْ بِوَكِيلٍ. We are not over you a manager, or we are not here to force you to believe. And then Allah Ta'ala is saying to the believers, وَاتَّبِعْ مَا يُوحَى إِلَيْكَ. Follow that which has been revealed to you from this Quran. حَتَّى يَحْكُمَ اللَّهُ. Until Allah Ta'ala's command comes. Which command do you think this is? Hijrah, good. Or it can be the adhab comes, but the hijrah fits better here. Wallahu a'lam. وَهُوَ خَيْرُ الْحَاكِمِينَ. Allah, He is the best of judges. So with that, we come to the end of Surah Yunus. But we will now move on, inshallah, to the next surah, which is Surah Hud. Now, I want to just mention the link, the rabt between some surahs here. Up to now, we have looked at pairs of surahs. Yeah, pairs, usually in pairs, we see the link. Here we have a group of 3 surahs that are linked. Okay, so Yunus we looked at, Hud we are about to, and then part of Yusuf alayhi salam, we will look at that surah as well today, inshallah. Surah Yunus and Surah Hud, we mentioned, Both of these are itmam of hujjat, completing the manifest proof. Yes? So, in Yunus, there is different rational proof given. However, in Hud we will see different historical proof. Yeah? So, at-tadhkir bi alaillah, at-tadhkir bi ayyamillah. Just like which two surahs we looked at before? Araf, and before that An'am. You see? Okay? So here again there is this relationship. And also in Hud there is Indhar. Indhar is to warn, a severe warning. And then in Yusuf alayhi salam's surah, the Surah Yusuf, there is tabshir for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the believers. Good news, glad tidings. Are we following this? You should make a note of it. But then inshallah you will remember it and then you will teach it. Otherwise you won't teach it because you won't remember it because you didn't write it. You understand? Okay, khair. Inshallah. So with that, let's start Surah Hud. Period of revelation then. Most likely this is the 12th of Nabawi as well, the end of the time of the Meccan period of the Prophet ﷺ in Mecca. Now, this is all amidst the following circumstances and context. So allegations of the fabrication again against the Prophet ﷺ, that you have made this, you have taken this from somewhere else. And they are viewing his da'wah with lots of doubt. And they are calling him Sahir Mubin, that you are just a magician. You just possess people. Yeah? You have an impact on people which is a magical impact. It mentions the punishment and anger of Allah for those sinning and rebellious people. And subhanAllah, there is a hadith regarding this Surah Hud. Prophet ﷺ said, Shayyabatni Surah Hud wa akhwatiha. Surah Hud and its like other surahs, they made me grow old, they made me grow grey. Why do you think that was? Punishment. But what was his real concern? His ummah. His concern was that this adhab is about to come, as if. Because all the surahs are indicating that it's a build-up, a build-up. This is all building up to adhab, as if any time it will come. He made the Prophet ﷺ turn grey, subhanallah. Look at the concern of the Rasul for his ummah. Subhanallah al-Azim. Khair. Let's look at the central theme then, Surah Hud. A nation can be given respite if it accepts the Quranic invitation to Tawheed, it repents from shirk and other sins, so it has to do istighfar, and it seeks the forgiveness of Allah. Otherwise, they will be destroyed like previous nations. So Allah Ta'ala is saying, accept Tawheed and do istighfar. And we will find this is a common theme in the messengers that are being mentioned here. Because here we will see, if we look at the Quranic diagrammatic overview here, we will see that the second section, the third, so the second about Nuh alayhi salam, the third about Hud, the fourth about Salih, fifth about Lut alayhi salam, sixth about Shu'aib alayhi salam, and the seventh about Musa alayhi salam. So again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Rusul being mentioned, messengers being mentioned, and their destruction, and their people, and what happened, and why it happened, etc., as a means for people to reflect and mend their ways. But here, not only invitation is given, istighfar is being asked and commanded to them. Do istighfar, do tawbah, come back and repent. Agree that you were on the wrong path, and then Allah Ta'ala, He will forgive you. Otherwise, the punishment, as I said, is just about to come. So the first section, let's take then inshallah. Introduction, the demand to worship Allah alone and to do istighfar. So let's take some ayat on this. This is Surah Hud. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام را كتاب أحكمت آياته ثم فصلت من لدن حكيم خبير. Alif Lam Ra, this is a book whose verses are perfected and then presented in detail from one who is wise and aware. ألا تعبدوا إلا الله إنني لكم منه نذير وبشير. And what is the invitation here? The invitation here is Allah ta'budu illallah, that you do not worship anybody but Allah. Because ta'budu ibadah means you then follow in every circumstance, in every sphere of your life. Yes? And whenever anything comes in opposition to that, you reject that, like your customs, your traditions, your forefathers. But you follow Allah and His Rasul. And the Prophet ﷺ is being told to tell them that I am only a Nadhir, a warner, and Bashir, and a giver of glad tidings. You decide whether you want me to be the warner or the giver of glad tidings. If you accept, I am Bashir. If you do not, then I am Nadhir. And look at this, subhanAllah, as we mentioned, this is throughout the surah. Not only accept Allah as the ma'bud, alone, do istighfar. And وَأَنِ اسْتَغْفِرُوا رَبَّكُمْ ثُمَّ تُوبُوا إِلَيْهِ يُمَتِّعْكُمْ مَتَاعًا حَسَنًا إِلَى عَجَلٍ مُسَمًّى وَيُؤْتِ كُلَّ ذِي فَضْلٍ فَضْلًا وَإِن تَوَلَّوْا فَإِنِّي أَخَافُ عَلَيْكُمْ عَذَابَ يَوْمٍ كَبِيرٍ. Subhanallah. And say to them, seek forgiveness of your Lord and repent to Him. He will let you enjoy a good provision for a specified term on this earth, and give every doer of favor from his favor, meaning He will reward you in the hereafter. But if you turn away, then indeed I fear for you the punishment of a great day. So this is the Prophet ﷺ, how he is feeling. Allah knows how he is feeling. He actually fears this for these people, that the punishment is coming. And what will happen on that day? إِلَيَّ إِلَى اللَّهِ مَرْجِعُكُمْ. You will all return back to Allah. وَهُوَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. He is able to do everything. So you need to fear that day, and you need to repent, and you need to believe in Allah and worship Him alone. Moving on then, let's take some other ayat. Ayah 6, let's take. Some ayat are given here. Some ayat, signs in creation. وَمَا مِن دَابَّةٍ فِي الْأَرْضِ إِلَّا عَلَى اللَّهِ رِزْقُهَا وَيَعْلَمُ مُسْتَقَرَّهَا وَمُسْتَوْدَعَهَا كُلٌّ فِي كِتَابٍ مُبِينٍ. And in these ayat, Allah Ta'ala's ilm, His knowledge is being told to us. He is perfect in knowledge. And there is no creature on earth but that Allah upon Allah is its provision. And Allah, He knows its place of dwelling and place of storage. With Allah, all is in a clear register, meaning everything is written. Allah has complete knowledge of everything. وَهُوَ الَّذِي خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ فِي سِتَّةِ أَيَّامٍ وَكَانَ أَرْشُهُ عَلَى الْمَاءِ. Again, like the previous surah, again is being said, Allah Ta'ala, He is the one who created the heavens and the earth in 6 days or in 6 periods of time, and His arsh was on the water. Why did He create? لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. That's the main point. He created all this creation so that He can test who is the best in good deeds. وَلَئِنْ قُلْتَ إِنَّكُمْ مَبْعُوثُونَ مِنْ بَعْدِ الْمَوْتِ لَيَقُولَنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا سِحْرٌ مُبِينٌ. But when it is said to them that indeed you will be resurrected, to the people who do not believe, they say, this is just magic, plain magic. Because when the person believes in the hereafter, he or she must change his lifestyle. And we will see this in Surah Al-Qiyamah. Surah Al-Qiyamah, it tells us clearly the reason why they didn't believe in the hereafter was because if they believed in it, then they have to change their lifestyle. Hence, once you believe in the hereafter, your lifestyle must be according to that. Otherwise, there is a contradiction. Okay, let's move on then. Ayah number 12 then. Again, this is their allegation against the Prophet ﷺ. فَلَعَلَّكَ تَارِكٌ بَعْدَ مَا يُوحَى إِلَيْكَ وَضَاعِقٌ بِهِ صَدْرُكَ أَنْ يَقُولُوا لَوْلَا أُنْزِلَ عَلَيْهِ كَنْزٌ أَوْ جَاءَ مَعَهُ مَلَكٌ إِنَّمَا أَنْتَ نَذِيرٌ وَاللَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ وَكِيلٌ. Then would you possibly leave out some of what is revealed to you, or is your breast constrained by it? Because they say, or the Quraysh say, why has there not been sent down to him a treasure, or come with him an angel? But you are only a warner, and Allah is disposer of all things. Meaning they asked for a miracle. Yes, we mentioned before, yeah? Allah Ta'ala is saying, no miracle. This Quran is miracle. You want to take the guidance, take it or leave it. Up to you. Don't play about. Don't play games. Don't ask for things that you know that they will not be shown to you. And do not then affect the Prophet ﷺ. do not upset the Prophet ﷺ. And this is their allegation again. أَمْ يَقُولُونَ افْتَرَى. Do they say that he has made it up, fabricated this Quran? Then say to them, قُل, say to them, فَأْتُوا بِأَشْرِ سُوَرٍ مِثْلِهِ مُفْتَرَيَاتٍ وَدْعُوا مَنِ اسْتَطَعْتُم مِّن دُونِ اللَّهِ إِن كُنتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. Then bring 10 surahs like it and ask everybody and anybody other than Allah to help you if they can. And if you are truthful to your claim. Because if he is getting fabrication from somewhere, then you can as well. In fact, he's one person. You can ask all of mankind and jinn, in another place of the Quran says, other than Allah. And this challenge is still today until the Day of Judgment. This is the miracle of the Quran, subhanallah. It cannot be duplicated. It cannot be imitated. This is Allah Ta'ala's blessing on this ummah, that He has preserved the deen for the whole of humanity to benefit from, if they like to. And then again, invitation. فَإِن لَمْ يَسْتَجِيبُوا لَكُمْ فَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّمَا أُنزِلَ بِعِلْمِ اللَّهِ وَأَنْ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا هُ فَهَلْ أَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. And if they do not respond to you, then know that it, meaning the Quran, was revealed with the knowledge of Allah and that there is no one worthy of worship except Him. Then would you not be Muslims? So Allah Ta'ala is telling the Prophet, tell them, would you still not be Muslims? This is from Allah. Think about it, consider it, ponder over it. Moving on to ayah 24. And then at the end of this section, we didn't cover it, but end of this section, this is talking about two types of people. Two responses to the revelation. The people who respond to it and the people who do not respond to it. مَثَلُ الْفَرِيقَيْنِ كَالْأَعْمَى وَالْأَصَمِّ وَالْبَصِيرِ وَالسَّمِيعِ. The example of two parties is like the blind and the deaf. These are the Quraysh. And the seeing and the hearing. These are the Sahaba. هَلْ يَسْتَوِيَانِ مَثَلًا. Are they equal in comparison? Are they the same? No, they are not the same. أَفَلَا تَذَكَّرُونَ. Don't you think? If they are not the same in their response, then how can the outcome be the same? Cannot be the same. Another place in the Quran, Allah Ta'ala says, أَفَنَجْعَلِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ كَالْمُجْرِمِينَ. Do they make the Muslim, the submitter, the same as the criminal? كَيْفَ تَحْكُمُونَ. How do you judge? Meaning, how can they all be the same? Yeah, and when you are giving da'wah, some people may say, I think all religions are good, we should just follow any religion. They all go to the same way. Subhanallah al-Azim. It's because that people didn't think about it. How can 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 adyan, religions that are contradicting each other be the same? How? Does it make any sense? No, it doesn't make sense. Yeah? So you have to make the effort of finding the truth. And when you make that effort, Allah Ta'ala says, وَمَنْ جَاهَدَ فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. Whoever strives in my cause to be guided, 100% we will guide them. Because the guidance is with Allah. Allah Ta'ala, He just looks at the heart. Does the heart want to be guided or not? And as soon as the heart wants to be guided, nurun ala nur, light upon light. Allah Ta'ala, He guides whom He wills and who wants to be guided. May Allah guide us. Ameen. Okay, moving on then to the second section. And we will now whiz through these sections because these are stories of previous prophets. Yeah? So we're not going to spend too much time. Maybe my famous words, but I might spend too much time then. Khair, let's try inshallah, yeah? The invitation of Prophet Nuh alayhi salam and the destruction of his nation. We'll take a few ayat here, 26 and 27 first. Okay, so we have to take 25 because it starts with Nuh alayhi salam. وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا نُوحًا إِلَىٰ قَوْمِهِ إِنِّي لَكُمْ نَذِيرٌ مُبِينٌ. Allah ta'budu illallah. Again he's saying worship Allah. You see, the invitation is to worship Allah, not to just acknowledge Him, to worship Him. Inni akhafu alaykum adhaba yawmin alim. Same concern. I am fearful for the punishment. But look at the response. قال الملأ الذين كفروا من قومه. Look at the leaders from his people who disbelieved. They said, what did they say? ما نراك إلا بشرا مثلنا. We don't see you but a person like us. وما نراك اتبعك إلا الذين هم أراذلنا بادي الرأي. and we do not see the people who follow you, but who are the lowest of us. The lowest of us. This is the same what they said to the Prophet ﷺ's followers, the Ashab Suffah, Khabbab ibn Ard, Abu Huraira, and so on and so forth. These are the lowly people. Get rid of them and we will sit. And what did the Prophet ﷺ, what was the Prophet ﷺ told regarding these people? In Surah Al-Kahf, وَاصْبِرْ نَفْسَكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ رَبَّهُمْ بِالْغَدَاةِ وَالْعَشِيِّ يُرِيدُونَ وَجْهَهُ وَلَا تَعْدُ عَيْنَاكَ عَنْهُمْ تُرِيدُ زِينَةَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. Allah Ta'ala is saying to the Prophet ﷺ, keep with these people, these lowly people. In their eyes they are lowly because this is takabbur. Kibr, I mentioned it before, but make a note of the definition of kibr. What is kibr? Kibr is not to accept the truth, number one. Yes? Yeah? And ghamtun nas is to look low and look down at people, to think they are lowly, lower than me. I am middle class, he is lower class. I am upper class, he is lower class. He is economy class, I am VIP. To think that you are actually different, this is kibr. And the person with kibr would not even smell the Jannah. Dangerous. We have to get rid of this kibr. As Muslims, we have to get rid of it. We have to get rid of this ism. I am Pakistani, he is Bengali, so I'm better. If a person dies with that, there's a problem, isn't there? Because this kibr. I am a professional, he is a laborer. There's an issue there. Etc., etc. Yeah? So no kibr. All of the humanity is the same in the sight of Allah except for taqwa. Khair. Moving on then. Let's take some other ayat here. There's a long description of Nuh alayhi salam and his story, but we're not going to go into that because we have mentioned these things already. Some things that we haven't mentioned already is his relationship and the incident with his son. Yeah. So when he was telling the people to board the ark, yeah, this is what he says with his son, his dialogue with his son. This is ayah 42 and 43. وَهِيَ تَجْرِي بِهِمْ فِي مَوْجٍ كَالْجِبَالِ وَنَادَى نُوحُ ابْنَهُ وَكَانَ فِي مَعْزِلٍ يَا بُنَيَّ ارْكَبْ مَعَنَا وَلَا تَكُنْ مَعَ الْكَافِرِينَ. Look at this desperate plea of a father. Nuh alayhi salam is saying, and it sailed with them through waves like mountains, the waves, yeah? Have you seen 2012? You seen it? 2012, yeah? There's a movie called 2012. It shows you some glimpse of this, yeah? I'm not promoting it, I'm just mentioning it. Subhanallah Azim. And Nuh alayhi salam called to his son who was apart from them. He was away. He said, "Oh my son, come aboard with us. Do not be with the disbelievers." What did his son say? قَالَ سَآوِي إِلَى جَبَلٍ يَعْصِمُنِي مِنَ الْمَاءِ. I will climb this high mountain, it will save me from the water. Nuh alayhi salam said, قَالَ لَا آسِمَ الْيَوْمِ. Nobody will be saved this day. Min amrillah, from Allah's command, illa man rahim, except he who Allah, he shows mercy, and his mercy is shown by this ark. This is the mercy. Board it and you will be saved. But what happened? وَحَالَ بَيْنَهُمَ الْمَوْجِ, but came between them a huge wave, فَكَانَ مِنَ الْمُغْرَقِينَ, and he became drowned. He was drowned. And subhanallah, and then later on, Nuh alayhi salam, he asks Allah, please to Allah, then Allah Ta'ala says to him, he is not from your family because he did not do righteous deeds. Yeah? The family of the believers is the believer who does righteous deeds. This is the real family. The real family. The real love is for the sake of Allah. Man ahabba lillah, ومن أبغض لله, ومن أطاع لله, ومن منع لله استكمل الإيمان. The one who gave, who did not give, who loved for the sake of Allah, increased and completed his iman. This is what it's about. It's about meeting each other for the sake of Allah alone. Then Allah Ta'ala, He will make you taste the sweetness of iman. May Allah Ta'ala give us this, ameen. Okay. And then ayah 49, before we go into the next section. After all this long story, تِلْكَ مِنْ أَنْبَاءِ الْغَيْبِ نُوحِيهَا إِلَيْكَ. These are from the previous stories which we have revealed to you. مَا كُنْتَ تَعْلَمُهَا أَنْتَ وَلَا قَوْمُكَ مِنْ قَبْلِ هَذَا. You or your nation didn't know this. Yeah, you didn't know this. So, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the believers, fasbir, remain steadfast on your mission to convey the message, yeah, your da'wah. Continue with that. Innal aqibata lil muttaqin. Indeed, the aqibah, the last thing, will be for you if you have taqwa. You will be the winners in the end. Do not worry about these problems at this time. Now, next section is the story of Hud alayhi salam and his invitation to his people of Ad. So let's take some ayat there. Let's take 50, ayah 50 first of all. وَإِلَىٰ عَادٍ أَخَاهُمْ هُودًا. And to Ad was sent their brother Hud. قَالَ يَا قَوْمِ اعْبُدُوا اللَّهِ. Same again, you see? Are you noting this down? اعْبُدُوا اللَّهِ, اعْبُدُوا اللَّهِ, اعْبُدُوا اللَّهِ. Same message being given. This is our da'wah, yeah? Our da'wah has to be, you acknowledge that there is a creator, but then you submit to him. It is not enough to just acknowledge the creator. Is this clear? You acknowledge the creator and you submit to him. مَا لَكُم مِّنْ إِلَٰهٍ غَيْرُ إِنْ أَنْتُمْ إِلَّا مُفْتَرُونَ. You are not but inventors of falsehood, which is saying to these people. And then let's take some more ayah here. And the same thing, ibadah, and what else? What are the two main things here in this surah? Istighfar. وَيَا قَوْمِ اسْتَغْفِرُوا رَبَّكُمْ ثُمَّ تُوبُوا إِلَيْهِ يُرْسِلِ السَّمَاءَ عَلَيْكُمْ مِدْرَارًا وَيَزِدْكُمْ قُوَّةٍ إِلَىٰ قُوَّتِكُمْ وَلَا تَتَوَلَّوْا مُجْرِمِينَ. And something similar is being said in Surah Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam as well. Yeah? Surah Nuh as well. O my people, do istighfar of Allah. Do istighfar of Allah. Ask Allah Ta'ala to forgive you, and then do tawbah, meaning turn back to the right way. Allah will send upon you rain as a blessing. Subhanallah. And He will give you more strength upon strength through different means, maybe children, etc. But do not turn away criminals. And then what did they say? قالوا, they said to Hud, Ya Hud, ما جئتنا ببينة وما نحن بتاركي آلهتنا عن قولك وما نحن لك بمؤمنين. O Hud, you have not brought us clear evidence, and we are not ones to leave our gods on your say-so, nor are we going to believe in you. The outward rejection, outright, nothing to do with you, and we need to be ready for this. You may think, I explained so much, explained everything clearly and evidence, and he just threw it back in my face. Be ready for it. This happened to the Rasul. Who are we? What are we? Nothing. So, rejection is part of da'wah. And the last ayah on this, then we move on. فَإِن تَوَلَّوْا فَقَدْ أَبْلَغْتُكُم مَا أُرْسِلْتُ بِهِ إِلَيْكُمْ. And if they turn away, then I have already conveyed that which I was sent to you. وَيَسْتَخْلِفُ رَبِّي قَوْمًا غَيْرَكُمْ وَلَا تَضُرُّونَهُ شَيْئًا. My Lord will give succession to a people other than you, and you will not harm him at all. And this is telling the Quraysh. Soon, within the next 10 years, that's all it took after this. The Prophet ﷺ, he marched into Mecca as Fatih, victorious. Yes, within 10 days, subhanallah, 10 years. So this is being told to them. Inna Rabbi ala kulli shayin hafidh. Allah Ta'ala, He is my Rabb, and He is upon all things a guardian. Okay, let's move on to the next section, which is the invitation of Prophet Salih and the destruction of his nation of Thamud. Here again we will only take maybe just one ayah here, because he has said something very similar about U'budullah wastaghfiru, yeah? Two things. And at the end, فَلَمَّا جَاءَ أَمْرُنَا نَجَّيْنَا صَالِحًا وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مَعَهُ بِرَحْمَةٍ مِنَّا وَمِنْ خِزْيِ يَوْمِئِذٍ إِنَّ رَبَّكَ هُوَ الْقَوِيُّ الْعَزِيزُ. Again, the same sunnah of Allah, He will protect the believers and the followers when the adhab comes. The next section about Lut alayhi salam, section 5, this is ayat 69 to 84. Let's take ayah 69. وَلَقَدْ جَاءَ رُسُلُنَا إِبْرَاهِيمَ بِالْبُشْرَى قَالُوا سَلَامًا. You know when the angels, they came to Ibrahim alayhi salam, and Ibrahim alayhi salam is the uncle of Lut alayhi salam. Okay, relationship. The angels came to him, he said salam, they said walaikum salam, it doesn't mention here. فَمَا لَبِثَ أَنْ جَاءَ بِإِجْلٍ حَنِيذٍ. And straight away, what did he do, Ibrahim alayhi salam, because he was a great host? He went and roasted a calf. Nice, roasted, alhamdulillah. but they didn't touch it. And this was a sign in the past that these are my enemies maybe. They're not going to taste from my food. So he became fearful. But they said, do not fear, we are angels, we have been sent to give you the glad tidings of Ishaq. And after Ishaq, who came? Yaqub. And this links with the next surah, Surah Yusuf. You see the links? Make a note, please, brothers, please. Make the link. These are gems. Yeah, these are gems. Not because I'm saying it, because the scholars have said it. Yeah, I'm just conveying it. Okay, inshallah, this will open your mind to Quran, your heart to Quran. You will see Quran as an amazing, yeah, subhanallah, an amazing blessing. Because you will start to then make more links. And inshallah, Allah will increase you in iman. Ameen. So, anyway, so they said, we are going to Lut because his nation has transgressed all limits, and we will punish them and we will kill them. So then fast forward, if we fast forward this, the angels come to Lut alayhi salam, and eventually they tell Lut alayhi salam to leave in the part of the night with his followers, but his wife would not be part of them because she didn't believe. And then Allah Ta'ala, He sends the adhab on them through the angels, and this is mentioned in this ayah 82 and 83. فَلَمَّا جَاءَ أَمْرُنَا, and when our command came, جَعَلْنَا عَالِيَهَا سَافِلَهَا, then we made the highest part of the city its lowest part. Yeah, Jibreel alayhi salam took them and he tossed them. Yeah, like you toss things, subhanallah. وَأَمْطَرْنَا عَلَيْهَا حِجَارَةً مِّن سِجِّيلٍ مَنْضُودٍ, and Allah Ta'ala, He rained upon them stones of layered hard clay, مُسَوَّمَةً إِنَّ رَبِّكَ, marked from your Lord, meaning for every person there was a stone. Just like the Ababil of Abraha. وَمَا هِيَ مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ بِبَعِيدٍ, and Allah's punishment is not from the wrongdoers very far. Look at Allah Ta'ala, He's warning them. How else can you warn? What else can you do? Nothing more can be done. But still the people, they choose not to believe. And then the next section is talking about Madian and Shu'aib alayhi salam. Their problem was they would give less in weight and they would give less in measure. They were not just in their measuring and their dealing. And they were also punished. We'll just take the last of this section, story, 94 and 95, because I would like to spend some time on Yusuf alayhi salam story. So, وَلَمَّا جَاءَ أَمْرُنَا نَجَّيْنَا شُعَيْبًا وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مَعَهُ بِرَحْمَةٍ مِنَّا وَأَخَذَتِ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا الصَّيْحَةُ فَأَصْبَحُوا فِي دِيَارِهِمْ جَاثِمِينَ. So a shriek seized these people, and Allah, He saved Shu'aib and the believers. كَأَن لَّمْ يَغْنَوْا فِيهَا, it was as if they had never ever lived there. Subhanallah, destruction. أَلَا بُعْدًا لِمَدْيَنَ كَمَا بَعِدَتْ ثَمُودَ. So away with these people, just like the people before them. So Quraysh, you think you are something greater? You think you are mightier? You are not mightier. Allah is the mightiest. And then the conclusion here, sorry, not conclusion, the next section is Musa alayhi salam story and the destruction of Fir'aun and his people. We'll just take 2 ayat on this. Yeah, so Fir'aun, إِلَى فِرْعَوْنَ وَمَلَئِهِ فَاتَّبَعُوا أَمْرَ فِرْعَوْنَ. To Pharaoh and his establishment, he was sent with Harun, but they followed the command of Fir'aun, and the command of Fir'aun was not at all discerning. يَقْدُمُ قَوْمَهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ فَوْرَدَهُمُ النَّارِ فَبِئْسَ الْوِرْدُ الْمَوْرُودُ. So this is basically the reason why we selected this ayah, is because this is telling us that the people who followed the people who followed their leaders blindly, they will all end up in the hellfire. No excuse. No blame on the leader. You are to blame your own self. Alaykum anfusakum. You have to decide, is this the truth or not? Don't say, oh, my boss said, my leader said, he said, so I had no choice. No, you have a choice. Yeah? This is the point that's being made here to the Quraysh and the public of the Quraysh. Because you know that the leaders, yeah, the corrupt leaders, they want to misguide all people with them. Yeah? And this is what happens. Throughout history has happened, happening today, will happen in the future. But every human being is accountable for his or her own guidance, whether they sought it or not. And the final section is again the demand to worship Allah alone. Yeah, we'll take just the last 3 ayat. Ayahs 120 to 123 for this. وَكُلًّا نَقُصُّ عَلَيْكَ مِنْ أَنْبَاءِ الرُّسُلِ مَا نُثَبِّتُ بِهِ فُؤَادَكَ. Now this links also to Surah Yusuf, yeah? And each story we relate to you from the news of the messengers is that by which we make firm your heart, Ya Rasulullah, and the believers. Meaning, don't worry. The going is tough, but victory is coming. وَجَاءَكَ فِي هَذِهِ الْحَقُّ وَمَوْعِظَةٌ وَذِكْرَى لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. And there has come to you in this the truth and an instruction and a reminder for the believers. وَقُلْ لِلَّذِينَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ اِعْمَلُوا عَلَى مَكَانِتِكُمْ إِنَّا عَامِلُونَ. Say to the people who haven't believed, you carry on doing what you are doing, we will carry on what we are doing. وَانْتَظِرُوا. And you wait. إِنَّا مُنْتَظِرُونَ. We are waiting. But at the end of the day, وَلِلَّهِ غَيْبُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. The ghaib, the unseen, is with Allah. The punishment is with Allah. We don't know. وَإِلَيْهِ يُرْجَعُ الْأَمْرُ كُلُّهُ. All the things go back to Him for judgment and for decision. فَاعْبُدْهُ. Again, worship Him. وَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَيْهِ. Rely on Him. وَمَا رَبُّكَ بِغَافِلٍ عَمَّا تَعْمَلُونَ. Your Rabb is not unaware of what you are doing. Again, da'wah. Yeah? Inviting them to worship Allah alone. And to know He knows. And He knows. His knowledge is not just for the sake of knowledge. His knowledge is because there has to be judgment. And there has to be justice. And there has to be punishment. And there has to be reward. Khair. With that, we come to the end of Surah Hud. Let's now move on to Surah Yusuf. We will take part of Surah Yusuf. Inshallah. Bismillah. Khair then. This story is beautiful, subhanAllah, of Yusuf alayhi salam. Period of revelation. And we mentioned the relationship between Hud and Yusuf. What is it? If you had the notes, you would be able to say confidently. So Hud, in Hud alayhi salam, there is Nadhir, warning. And in Yusuf alayhi salam, there is Tabshir, which means good news to the believers. Okay? Now, this surah is amazing in many, many ways. Yeah? One of the facets of this surah, subhanAllah, is that it is a reflection of the Prophet ﷺ's seerah as well, in different ways. So, for example, we will see when we see the story, but I'm just giving you an outline of this. Just like Yusuf alayhi salam was disliked by his brothers, the Prophet ﷺ disliked by his brethren, Quraysh. Just like he was thrown in the well for 3 days, the Prophet ﷺ had to stay in Thawr, the cave, for 3 days. Just like there were many temptations for the Prophet ﷺ, Yusuf ﷺ was tempted by the wife of Aziz. Just like there was hardship, so Yusuf ﷺ, he has to go through hardship and then he enters into jail even for many years. Prophet ﷺ had to go through many hardships. For example, the believers had to go to Habasha to migrate, or they were in the valley of Abi Talib for 3 years, where they had nothing to eat or drink, subhanallah. And then there is a similarity between Yaqub alayhi salam, when he becomes very, very upset, but he says, I will complain only to Allah. And then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he becomes very upset when he goes to Taif, and then he says, I will complain only to Allah. And right at the end, just like Yusuf alayhi salam, he was given the leadership and power and authority. The Prophet ﷺ is going to be given that in Makkah. And subhanAllah, what does Yusuf alayhi salam say to his brothers when they come to him in the end? He says, La tathriba alaykum al-yawm. No blame on you today. I forgive you. And the Prophet ﷺ, he says exactly the same. I say to you what my brothers said. Yusuf said to his brothers, I say to you, O people of Quraysh, when he comes as a victor, the king of Makkah, you could say, yeah? He could have killed them all. And he would have been right to do so because they had killed the people before. But he says, La tathrib alaykum al-yawm. No blame on you. So this is just a very quick synopsis, if you like, of the similarities between the two beautiful Rusul of Allah, alayhi salatu wasalam. Okay, some lineage for you to know, yeah? Please make note of these boys. Lineage, yeah? Ibrahim alayhi salam at the top. Okay, Ibrahim alayhi salam. Then you have Ismail on one side. Okay, the other you have Ishaq. Okay, you will have to recall all of this to me afterwards. Yeah, inshallah. Good, Amir. Ishaq, to him was born Yaqub. Yaqub is Israel. His name is Israel. Israel means Abdullah. Israel had 12 sons, 10 from with one wife, and Yusuf alayhi salam and Binyamin from another wife. How many together? 12. 12 tribes Bani Israel. Clear? Good. Yusuf alayhi salam, he enters into Egypt. He was from, it mentions there, Eastern Jordan. Eastern Jordan, yeah? He enters into, no, this is, sorry, that's my mistake. Ishaq was in Eastern Jordan. Yeah, but anyway. Yusuf alayhi salam, as we will see in the story, inshallah, that he is taken as captive or slave to Egypt. And then many, and as a result, because his brothers then come to Egypt and they dwell there, the Bani Israel do live in Egypt, yeah? Many centuries later, what happens? Fir'aun takes these people as slaves. You see how things have changed over history, yeah? There's some historical background for you. Hopefully that would make it easier to understand, inshallah, this. Okay, let's then take Surah Yusuf. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The central theme here, and this the period of revelation is the 12th of Nabawi. Yeah, again, the end of the Nabuwah period in Makkah. And there are plots to expel and assassinate the Prophet ﷺ, just like what happened with Yusuf alayhi salam. Central theme then, the glad tidings to the Prophet and of the conquest of Makkah. So this is good news that the conquest of Makkah is coming. And complete domination and authority will be yours, just like Yusuf alayhi salam. One day, the Quraysh of Makkah will also be at the mercy of the Prophet ﷺ, just like the brothers of Yusuf were at the mercy of Yusuf alayhi salam. Yeah? So this is a good news. So introduction, the Quran has been revealed to be pondered upon. The first two ayat mention this. I will not take that for now, but inshallah you read the first two ayat, that the Quran is there to be pondered upon, meaning this story, think about it. And this story has been called Ahsanul Qasas, the best of stories, the most beautiful of stories. Yeah, Subhanallah al-Azim. Anyway, let's take the first section. Now I have divided, just today, from the original text, where I have taken these overviews from, because the original text is an Urdu text, yeah, by a certain scholar. I have just translated. And he has broken this down into 10 parts, the story of Yusuf, which is not on this, but it's on the new edition. Inshallah, you will see it tomorrow. Yeah. The first part, you may want to make a note, is ayat 3 to 20. 3 to 20, yeah. This is his dream and the conspiracy by his brothers. So, Yusuf alayhi salam, he sees the dream, yeah. He sees the sun, the moon, and 10 stars prostrating. Yaqub alayhi salam, he's a prophet. He knows that this is a prophet. Son of a prophet means he's a prophet, yeah, because he's seeing dreams and he's seeing these prostrating. He says, don't tell your brothers because they will be jealous of this because they are from another mother. Yeah. So what happens, because Yaqub alayhi salam has more love for him because he's very young, the brothers are envious. They conspire against him. Eventually they don't kill him, but they take him out and they leave him in the well for 3 days. A caravan is coming, going to Egypt, takes him, yeah, to draw water. Fetch a pail of water, you remember that, yeah? Okay. They take him to Egypt. He is sold there for very, very few dirham, for a very little price. He ends up in the house of the Aziz, the minister of Egypt, in which he lives, he dwells, he grows. He is very handsome. He is very handsome in his form and his akhlaq. So he is nurun ala nur, yeah, light upon light. His wife, the Aziz's wife, she becomes attracted to him. Not attracted, infatuated. You know infatuation? You know what that is? You look it up in the dictionary, yeah? Infatuation. It's like, yeah? Can't take her eyes off him. Subhanallah. Beautiful Allah made Yusuf alayhi salam. She then closes the doors. She says, Hayta lak, come, I'm all yours. And what does Yusuf alayhi salam say? Ma'adallah. I need Allah. He says, oh Allah, protect me. Give me protection, because as a human being, I'm weak. Allah Ta'ala, He protects him. And then when the Aziz, he comes, he catches her in the act, you could say, of trying to seduce Yusuf alayhi salam. He of course thinks Yusuf is guilty, but then somebody says that look, for the circumstantial evidence, if his shirt is torn from the front, then he's guilty, but if it's torn from the back, then she's guilty. And she's guilty because they see that the shirt was torn from the back. Anyway, then there are rumors in the town. The women start to talk about she's doing this with Yusuf. So she then assembles all the women and gives them some fruit or something to cut. Yeah, and then she says to Yusuf, come in. When they see him, they are mesmerized by his beauty and his handsome appearance, and they cut their fingers. This is one understanding. There is another, but no time for that. Anyway, eventually what happens, he enters into the jail. And as soon as he comes into jail, his mission is da'wah. So the people ask him, tell us the interpretation of the dreams. He doesn't tell them until he has given them da'wah. First he gives them da'wah. We will take that inshallah, ayah 37 to 40. So we have covered that much. In just, you see, storytelling is easy because this is a very unique surah. It's a story of Yusuf alayhi salam. So 37 to 40, this is his da'wah in jail. Okay. Ya sahibi as-sijni a'arbabu mutafarriquna khairun amillahu al-wahidul qahhar. Oh, my two companions of prison, are separate lords better, or Allah the one, the prevailing? Getting them to think, two or one? And then he tells them, Ma ta'buduna min dunihi illa asma'an sammaytumuha antum wa aba'ukum. So he's saying that what our forefathers are fabricating and they are making up, they are just made up names. They don't exist. Allah, He is one. Inil hukmu illa lillah. Yeah? The judgment is with Allah. Amara Allah ta'budu illa iyah, and He has commanded that we do not worship except Him. And this is the straight path. And then he tells them the interpretation of the dreams. So da'wah first, and then the interpretation of the dreams, so that they would not be upset that he didn't give us the interpretation. So the second section, his trials in Egypt, which I mentioned. This is ayahs 21 to 35. Third section, 36 to 42, is his invitation in jail to Tawheed. And the last section that I'm going to look at now, very briefly, is the fourth section, the royal dream and the appointment of Yusuf. So the king sees a dream, yeah, the king sees a dream, and one of his inmates, he is released, yeah, and Yusuf alayhi salam says, go and tell the king about me, yeah, so I can be released. The king has a dream. He sees 7 fat cows and 7 thin cows, and he can't understand what this is. He asks for Yusuf because that inmate now is working, and he remembers, oh, Yusuf can interpret this. Let's call for Yusuf. Yusuf alayhi salam says, I will not leave until I am declared innocent. Because his honor, yeah, honor of the believer. And the woman, she admits and she says, yes, I was the wrong one. He is innocent. Yeah, he was not at fault. And then he interprets the dream of the king, and the king, he gives him the authority. He becomes, you could say in a way, the agricultural minister. Yeah, because the interpretation of the dream is that you will have 7 years of good harvest, and then you will have 7 years of drought. Hence, let's store the harvest, little what we need, keep, but store the harvest for the 7 years, and as a result, Egypt becomes the center of, you could say, the food stock, yeah? And then people from all around, because there's a drought for 7 years, they come. SubhanAllah, look how Allah Ta'ala, He does this thing, SubhanAllah. Amazing. He causes such things to happen just for a true believer. Just for the true believer. That all the people, they are coming to him, flocking to him, and that includes his brothers. And inshallah, we will continue with this tomorrow, inshallah. We ask Allah Ta'ala to give us the proper tawfiq to understand Al-Quran Al-Kareem, to understand it, before that to believe in it, to read it, understand, act upon it, and convey it, to live with this, and to die with this, and to meet Allah Ta'ala with this. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka وأتوب إليك وجزاكم الله خيرا.